a Nobody's Project production. So before we get into this cold open, we need to give you a faith warning. Today we are looking at religion and faith from a social science perspective, and as a project we take no position on any religion, but we naturally have our biases. We will also not be focusing on any extremist topics, and we wholly focus on the social good and social historical impacts of religion and spirituality. Religion and faith is humanity. And any person who through their decisions and behaviours puts religion ahead of humanity and are acting violently for their cause are probably significant or completely pathological in nature. Are they terrorists or socially, mentally ill? Or both? As this episode's draft was being written, a shocking terrorist incident unfolded at Bondi Beach, Sydney, Australia. The details at the stage this cold open was being written were still very fresh, and so the emotions, the dread, the compassion, and all the other feelings this incident could generate was too much to walk past. Too much to not put something down in writing, and if you are actually listening to this as part of the cold open, then clearly it passed the editing process. How can you write a cold open about how awesome religion is and how it has been central to the creation and evolution of our humanity when there's 15 dead and counting, 35 plus people in hospital, and everyone across Australia and some of the Western world are in shock and have been stopped in their tracks? And so, as we do with anything we take on this project that's a little more difficult, we lean in a little further. As stated in the content warning, anyone who puts their religion ahead of humanity and acts out violently towards others, especially other religious communities, is clearly significant or completely pathological in nature. They have to be, unless they are under extreme coercive controls, and at this stage coercive control doesn't seem to be a factor. So let's just park the horrors of this day, if we can. It's not easy to do, but let's look at what was actually occurring that day. There was a community gathering, people attending an annual event steeped in ritual, belief, and positive community expressions of themselves and their faith. That happens everywhere, by all religions, every day. Whether it be in a hall, a park, a church, synagogue, mosque or temple, a home and even a beach. And what better place is there to gather as families and as a community than at the beach, where the water and the land meet? It's these rituals, these events, these expressions of faith that are instinctive for all of humanity. If you dig through our known history, you will struggle to find a society that didn't have religion or faith at the core of its social structures. It drove our oaths and promises, it defined our accepted behaviours, our customs, and was central to our stories and our understanding of the world around us. Before science started defining our world differently through observation, analysis, and experiments, religious doctrine and teachings were our default position for explaining what was going on around us and why we are the way we are. And it was because of science that our understanding of the world through religion started to tear a little bit at the seams. Religions across the planet have had to redefine parts of their faith because science says otherwise. It goes all the way back to people like Galileo, who apparently was a bit of a narcissist and also a bit full of himself. Anyway. And so in the 21st century, with continually increasing pressure on people of faith to have faith, with the expansion of multiculturalism and the general population increase pushing communities more and more up against each other, with all this unfettered consumerism and instant gratification taking people's attention away from the world underpinned by religions, with extreme rhetoric pushed globally through unregulated and unmoderated internet, when the reduction of community and religious participation creates voids in our daily lives, what is there left to bring us together? Well, we're going to say it again. It all comes down to humanity. And right now, that's being tested. Too Many Arseholes is a social project looking at the rise of pathological behaviours in our society and the erosion of social trust, creating a better conversation around why this is, and finding a way forward to a greater humanity. Today we lean into one of the more sensitive topics, one that drives so much personal emotion and identity for those that believe in a higher something. This podcast is part of a larger social project that we want you, the listener, to join in on. Key to this project is bringing together threads from many academic disciplines to create a body of knowledge we can develop with you to help us all with having better conversations around these pathological behaviours in our personal and social circles. Thanks for joining us today for Season 1, Episode 12. In today's episode, we are taking a risk, but we have faith that we are approaching this delicate subject with all the care and the respect it needs. Today we are focusing on religions and where they fit into this thing we all call humanity, the collective us. To set the stage, we are going to go over the commonalities across religions and look back at how they have been part of our journey from the very start. We question the importance of religions and look at the pros and cons. We also explore places where we all intersect and propose a clue that may help us all with finding a way forward to a greater humanity. And so thanks for joining us and coming along on this journey of reflection and discovery as we attempt to unpack and just better understand why there's too many arseholes. It could be argued that religion as a human abstraction since the dawn of humanity has been the single biggest expression of our humanity. In its earliest forms, religious belief explained the world around us that was unexplainable. It provided social structures to organise a community around. It defined social expectations, behaviours and formalised relationships, and defined your daily, weekly, monthly and annual tasks, events and activities. Religion really is awesome. But it does have its issues. And so to be part of a faith community in the 21st century, as George Michael said, I've got to have faith. The fundamental components of religion typically include beliefs including worldview, myths, doctrines. Another component is rituals and practices. Some examples are ceremonies, prayers, worship. Religion also includes sacred texts and stories, symbols, a social structure, community, and ethics and moral codes. All these components revolve around a concept of the sacred or supernatural that provides meaning to life. These elements work together to guide adherence, understanding and behaviour, create a sense of belonging, linking adherence to a greater cause or power. Here's a short summary of some of the core aspects of religion. Beliefs and worldviews. These are the core ideas about the nature of reality, the divine, your God's spirits and ultimate reality, the afterlife, and humanity's place in the cosmos. And there's sacred myths and stories, narratives explaining origins, divine actions, historical events, and moral lessons, like the Bible, the Quran, and the Vedas. There are rituals and practices, formalised actions, ceremonies, prayers, sacrifices, and holidays performed by the believers. Ethic and moral codes, guidelines for behaviour defining right and wrong and how to live a good life. A good example is the 10 Commandments. Religious symbols, objects, words or images that represent deeper religious meaning. Some symbols include the Christian cross, the Star of David, the Islamic crescent and the Om symbol. Social structures and community. The organisation of believers, from the clergy to the lay people and the community of faith that gather for worship. Religions also include spiritual experience, personal encounters, feelings of awe, transcendence and a connection with the divine. These components, while varying in prominence across different faiths, form the universal framework that defines religion as a system of meaning and practice. And so when we can review this list and look across the history of human society, we can see that religion and faith are at its core and some of our greatest expressions of humanity. The components of religion, myths, ritual, ethics, social structures, and elevated experiences are all the key ingredients we have to make up humanity. Religion is us to some degree. If you don't align with a religious practice, that doesn't mean you're out of the in club. religions also have their flaws and corruptions. They have their abuses of power, the inequity challenges. Like anything we achieve as a human species, our religions also have a history of attracting pathological people due to the immense centralisation of wealth and power. It could be a religious paradox. Well, we're starting to get into complex ideas when we have to keep using the word paradox to ring-fence current challenges that just don't seem to have any path forward. But the paradox could be along the lines of, why do people of strong spiritual faith keep fighting other people of strong spiritual faith? Or the paradox could be, why does an abstraction based on humanity attract so many inhumane people? Could it be that when people of strong spiritual faith, who also lose their ability to think humanely and socially due to any one or more of the known causes, poor genes, poor neural development in infancy, toxic parenting, trauma, abuse or dementia in the frontal lobe, that these people are then well primed to act out in the name of their faith? Could all this be just forms of mental illness manifesting in a world where we still don't have the knowledge and wisdom nor the words to talk about these challenges? Where extreme expressions of faith are applauded more often than we'd like, because these are the inauthentic, pathological people cosplaying as religious devotees. Someone who speaks the word of God but can't speak the language of humanity. Before we had our current day religions, including those of the book, those of enlightenment, we had the religions that centred around multiple gods, and some of these religions still thrive today across the planet. These earlier social structures around polytheism go all the way back to before recorded history. Apart from providing explanations for all the unexplainable things around us, like rainbows and lightning, seasons and stars, the abstract concept of gods also provided social rules, social structures and lessons or punishments to those who behave outside these guidelines. It gave us rituals and the understanding of the afterlife. We have such strong evidence of how our earliest descendants expressed their understanding of the afterlife, due to so many burial sites surviving the perils of time. And that's exactly what they were trying to achieve. They wanted to live forever. And in some way, they succeeded by having these sites rediscovered, understood, and now that they are in our records and archives, their lives and their times are remembered again. And they can now live once again through our understanding of them from our past. It's quite poetic and beautiful. It appears that most societies included a belief in life after death. It gives people purpose and hope, a life goal, a clear set of rules to live by. To most humane people throughout time, these simple components to living, purpose and hope, a life goal and a clear set of rules to live by, made living so much easier. So much more directed and stable, so much more predictable and safe. In some way, religion is our greatest expression of humanity. It is so intrinsic to how we became the humans we are. Because we are so independent as a species and have been throughout history, when our society starts to lose their humanity, when individuals and individualism, as well as capital and control, dominate over humanity, this baseline of humanity needs to reinvent itself. It needs to correct its course in society and re-emerge to guide societies back towards humane, trustworthy, safe and stable communities. These society resets have occurred throughout history, and the ones that succeeded most are the ones that course correct back towards humanity. Martin Luther spoke out against the corruptions of the Church in the 1500s and kicked off the entire Protestant Reformation. which means exactly what it says. We are protesting about the corruption of this church, and we want to reform it into something better. But when you look at this event in Castle Church in Wittenberg, Germany on October the 31st, 1517 CE, and other significant religious events of the last few millennia through the pathological society lens we built up in episode 8, we can see they all have the same interesting themes worth exploring. So don't get too hooked up on these thoughts, as they are only ideas and themes. Prior to both the appearances of Jesus and Muhammad in 30 CE and 610 CE, the societies of Israel and the Arab Peninsula went through difficult, traumatic and materialistic times. Israel was occupied by the Romans, who had stripped the people of their religion and wealth. Their overlords treated them as a subclass, and the social structures and norms would have been degraded over the previous 4 generations, as it was around 93 years since Pompey conquered Jerusalem in 63 BCE. A case could be made that the message of love, humanity and caring for each other may also have been eroded from their society, and they were well primed for refreshing and reigniting the people of Israel to re-establish their humanity through a new religion based around one God, the Father, the Almighty, maker of heaven and earth, yada yada yada. A simple observation could be made also for Mecca and the Arab Peninsula. Before his revelations, Muhammad was an established and respected merchant in Mecca, a city that was a significant polytheistic pilgrimage and trade centre at the time. Muhammad had become aware of the social injustices and the egotistical ways of his community, which were highly motivated by money and social standing. This all primed him for the need for social change in his society. We do need an Islamic scholar to join in the conversation at this point to provide clarity around this time in history, but the original teachings of the Quran hold humanity, community, and personal ethics at the centre of its teaching. Like Christianity, both these dominant religions of the last few millennia re-injected humanity back into what looks like quite pathological and capitalist societies. And we know that when something like money becomes more important than people, humanity begins to pull apart at the seams. Let's also have a quick look at the rise of Buddhism somewhere in the mid-6th to 4th century BCE. According to Britannica, quote, "At this time in India, there was much discontent with Brahmic Hindu high castle sacrifice and ritual. In northwest India, there were ascetics who tried to create a more personal and spiritual religious experience than that found in the Vedas, the Hindu sacred scriptures." End quote. And so it also appears that northeast India was also primed for an injection of humanity back into their societies through new religious teaching, which included messages promoting humane thought, decisions, and behaviours. So if you think these ideas and theories have weight, then you can see how important religion is to re-establishing humanity in societies that lose their way. Although there's no strong parallels between today's societies and those of the times of Jesus and Muhammad, we can propose that societies that do move away from humanity being central to society, and that those that lose themselves in ideologies and materialism, do need injections of new wisdom to draw them back towards humane societies, where they can have at least a comfortable level of social trust and stability back in their lives. But here we are in this current day, where we live in what appears to be a semi-post-religious world thanks to science. It's not a bad place to be. Religion has had its pros and cons, its promoters and detractors, its strengths and its weaknesses. Do we need some new wisdom to inject into today's social discourse to again bring us all back to a more humane society? Do we need religion to do this? Can we evolve and take the best bits of all religions and find a path forward that promotes social trust, good behaviours, strong communities, effective rites of passage, and all the other positive, humane parts of being a person of faith, and the social structure each religion provides their faithful? Religion is still strong across the globe, with around 3/4 of the world's population following a religion. Of the 24.2% of the world's population that don't align to a community, many still hold religious ideas, morals, and the baseline humane behaviours, and they can do this without aligning to any formal religious practice. It's these basic social trustworthy lessons that are taught throughout all religions that continue to permeate into law, judicial, and penal policies, and many modern-day behavioural expectations. Outside the formal religions, the ethos of religious identity has permeated our sports, our popular culture, and now our social media. The tribalism of being part of a national sports team, the annual ritual of the formal competition, the colours and symbols, the ideology and the pursuit of greatness have created modern-day experiences through sport of being almost that of a religious experience. It's an interesting comparison and a modern-day kind of religious evolution in some way. It's these social foundations laid and embedded over many millennia through religions that have been the social foundation of our societies. It's probably a safe argument to make that we couldn't and wouldn't be who we are today, for better or for worse, without religion and all the social structures, lessons and morals provided by religion that is required to make a society stable, predictable and safe. But as we continue to expand our scientific understanding of the world, some aspects of formal religions run headfirst into religious doctrine, and especially the teaching of creation. From the floods to the gods descending to divine messages to being born from earth itself. The many and varied approaches religions have taken to explaining where we came from are now more and more under stress over the overwhelming evidence being brought forward by science. But science is no replacement for religion. It never was and never will be. Religion is part of humanity. It has been intrinsic to finding balance in our societies, to give societies a focal point, to provide all the daily to annual cycles of ritual, purpose and belonging to something greater than yourself. And so it's interesting times ahead. People are not overly moving between religions. There has been a stabilising of the number of people practising religion globally over the last decade, with only a small rise of people not affiliated with any religion. And it will be a hard argument for anyone to make that religion won't be part of our future for many centuries and more. So as part of this project, we are not going to even bother with the argument. Religion is part of humanity, whether you affiliate with a religion or not. It has been essential to how we have matured over our entire existence, and it will be for the known future. So where does that leave us? Well, it leaves us with just one more question to ask. In a world where our increasing populations are pushing people of different faiths up against each other and into conflict, often on religious grounds, where do we go from here? In a world of incredible science, how does religion go forward and continue to be relevant? In a world of hyper-consumerism, how can religious institutions based on the giving of alms and distribution of wealth to the poor remain profitable and free from the trappings of capitalism? Well, we think, as always, it will come down to humanity. If religion is potentially our greatest expression of humanity, then why wouldn't humanity be central to guiding religions forward into this brave new future? As a project, we have treated this topic and how it intersects with the project's mission with a heavy dose of caution and care. We hold no bias towards any religious learning, mostly because the sheer participation of people globally is incredible evidence of the importance to all of us and to who we are. And so in a world where religious divisiveness is on the increase, where do we find the levers to pull society back towards something more humane? A world where a person can have the faith they choose without fear. Well, in some way, humanity can give us a clue. There are parts of religion and non-religion where we all intersect. No matter what religion, ethnicity, heritage or bloodline, we have so much more in common than we do that's different. And sometimes the clues we need to move things forward can be right there in front of us. Irregardless, we finally got to use that word. Even if it's not a word, it sounds so right, but let's correct that one. Regardless of faith, belief, identity or affiliation, where all our different belief systems align are the humane ones, of love and care for our families and communities. To be with one's inner self, their soul, and commune with God, a higher being, with earth. To take part in a community of people with a purpose higher than yourself. To find guidance through life, through the good times and the hard times. To have hope and optimism for the future. Even if you don't affiliate with a religion, all these morals and teachings help form a safe and stable community around you. In the humane teachings, all religions provide their communities. We can all meet and exist in a diverse world of many religious cultures. It is possible, because if we all intersect across all religions where humanity prevails, then we can also identify those that are pathological in their association with religion, psychotic or sociopathic people who engage and participate within the religious world, people who put religion ahead of humanity. All religions have the potential for extreme followers, people who don't have the hardware to run the software to live in a humane and socially trustworthy society. Their devotion to the religious word is viewed often with great esteem, and these arseholes who cosplay as devout religious followers easily find their way into positions of influence and power when religious institutions fail to identify them as antisocial or inhumane as they progress through the hierarchy. As a project, we have no intention to draw straws on which religious conflicts or persecutions we could choose from to include as content and evidence in this episode, because they're all just shit. Religious-fueled violence, these extreme views that put religion and ideologies ahead of humane principles, don't help anyone. It's not just the bad actors that splash across our news feeds. People who have self-interested desires that they've wrapped up in religious iconography have penetrated right through our social media and internet with no moderation. When the internet intersected with religion, we could have had positive hopes for the future, but instead it has fueled extreme ideas, extreme messages, religious and ethnic hatred, and divided already partitioned countries and religions. And for what? Ego, supremacy, greed or prestige? All inhumane drivers. Where we can find a point to all intersect, to all align, to all gather together is through the universal teachings of the Golden Rule. Nearly all religions have the same fundamental lesson. Have empathy for others. In Christianity, it is, in everything, do to others that you would have them do unto you. This is the law and the prophets. In Islam, it is, not one of you truly believes until you wish for others what you wish for yourself. In Judaism, what is hateful to you, do not do to your neighbour. This is the entire law. All the rest is commentary. Go and learn it. In Buddhism, treat not others in ways that you yourself would find hurtful. In Hinduism, this is the sum of duty. Do naught unto others what you would not have them do unto you. In Sikhism, as thou deemest thyself, so deem others. In Jainism, one should treat all creatures in this world as one would like to be treated. In Baha'i faith, lay not any soul a load that you would not wish to be laid upon you, and desire not for anyone the things that you would not desire for yourself. In Taoism, regard your neighbour's gain as your own gain, and your neighbour's loss as your loss. In Confucianism, one word which sums up all the basis of all good conduct, loving kindness. Do not do to others what you would not want done to yourself. There's a native Indian Pimba proverb. Do not wrong or hate your neighbour, for it is not he who you wrong but yourself. In Yoruba, which is an area of West Africa, one going to take a pointed stick to pinch a baby bird should first try it on himself to feel how it hurts. And even a potential precursor to Christianity, Zoroastrianism, starting back in 1500 BCE. Do not do unto others whatever is injurious to yourself. This fundamental message of empathy for others isn't new. Highly likely it predates Zoroastrianism, and may be one of the key messages of humanity that has underpinned all of our societies. Care for others. Treat them how you would treat yourself. Show and have empathy for others. Treat everyone, all humans regardless of ethnicity and any other differing attributes, as if they are human, as if they are you. However, as universal as the Golden Rule is, it does have one fundamental flaw. It presumes everybody has a mentally and socially healthy brain. It doesn't work with psychopaths or sociopaths. They don't feel compassion or empathy. You can't do unto others because you don't give a shit what others do unto you. You just don't. Whether it be a golden rule, we do need to choose where we all intersect. Do we continue to allow this media-driven world of divisive hatred and religious division? Or do we look to where we all meet, where humanity gives us all an even playing field to work together, where humanity, people, humans, the collective us are more important than anything else, even religion. Wait, what did he say? Isn't this episode about how awesome and important religion is to all of humanity? Did I hear correctly, you may be thinking? And the answer is yes. Humanity is more important than religion. But how can that be if religion is humanity? How can humanity be more important than anything else, even religion, if religion is humanity? Do we have to create another paradox to ring-fence this conundrum with? Well, no, we don't. We're not trying to wig you out that much. Just prove a point. If religion is our greatest expression of humanity, if religion is humanity, then right there sitting in front of us now, clear as daylight, are all the pathological decisions and behaviours being done in the name of religious practice, inhuman beliefs and ideologies that just aren't humane. The othering of other religions, vile speech that reduces people of other religions to be less than human, isolation, persecution, violence, death, and war. Those parts are the cons of any religion. It's people who act against humanity in the name of a religion, whether it be their speech, their writing, or their activism, or the acts of violence. And this is the part of the episode where we would naturally step into a very risky area of terrorists or freedom fighters, of being tested morally to err to one side or the other, with the increases in violence in the name of religion rising since September 11, with further and more divisive incidents across religious lines, with so many people killed and their loved ones mourning their losses, and the lifelong pain that comes with each death through violent religious-driven acts. To know where we as a project can place ourselves so to not continually trip over ourselves while we avoid stepping on other people's toes, we will again position ourselves at the centre of humanity. Even having a cursory read through some of our longest religious conflicts and how they are understood to have started, you can see inhumane decisions after inhumane decisions escalating each situation until it inevitably ends in violence or conflict. It's pathological people making antisocial decisions, othering people and pursuing their own agendas in the name of religion, which continually appears throughout the histories. The more you read and research, the harder it gets to try and find the original catalyst. Some of our longest religious persecutions go all the way back to the ancient Babylonian times. The Jewish race has been targeted continually throughout their history to this very day. The anti-Semitic ideologies, the skewed rationale, and the pathological rhetoric spread is nothing but inhumane. And that goes for all religions who have targeted other religions. These antisocial policies, these pathological religious leaders, these socially, mentally ill people who are able to progress to the highest positions of influence are tearing apart the things that make religion so relevant, so needed, so desired by people, the humane parts. Religions have had a long history of being manipulated to suit individual purposes, to shift individuals away from the humane foundations they were built upon. These challenges, just like any social challenge, where pathological people and ideologies take root, are one of these forever problems we will always have to face as a society. So hopefully our project's approach to how religions fit into our project's mission and messaging is one of respect for all who have faith, to all those that believe in a God or a higher being, and to also lean into the humane parts of religious teachings and away from those that promote divisiveness and violence. It could feel like tiptoeing through a topic with a hope not to offend anyone, but we have faith that to place ourselves firmly at the centre of humanity, firmly in the conviction that if we have all come this far through building upon our humanity as we have evolved our species, if we have done all this mostly through the teachings of our many varied religions, then we too, as a project, can have a little faith. A little faith in humanity. Thanks again for taking the time to join in. You should never talk about religion or politics is such a good advice to live by. But today we lent into religion, and politics will turn up at some stage in the future. So we tackled a tough subject today, a sensitive subject, and if we did manage to step on a few toes, then they're probably toes that have been stepped on more than once or twice before. We hope you got something out of this approach to understanding religion and us. It's food for thought, and it doesn't hurt to keep being reminded that the best parts of any religion are the humane parts. Too Many Arseholes is researched, written and produced by Nobody's Project. To put this series together, we have drawn on many resources, publications, books and podcasts. Throughout this series, we'll ask you to go and read or listen to an article, book, or podcast to accompany our episodes. Check out our show notes for recommendations for upcoming episodes and also for our sources. It is important that we acknowledge and promote the people and the work they have published that has inspired this project. And finally, we are always keen to hear from you. Do you have an experience, idea, or insight that you'd love to share with the project? If so, please send an email to contactus@toomanyarseholes.com. Visit our social media pages and please feel free to get in contact and have a better conversation with us. To support the project, you can go to our Patreon page where you can get more information on the project and support us. You can also join our Patreon group and get early and ad-free episodes as well as other benefits. You can also like, subscribe, and review the podcast to help spread the conversation. And the best way to support us is to share the podcast with your family, friends, and colleagues so you can have a better conversation with them. Until we catch up again, give a shit about our planet and just please, don't be an arsehole.